In 2019, well, PC laptops are some of the best we've ever seen, which is something we expect. At the same time, I'm finding them a little bit boring as well, which is why I'm super excited to see VAIO send me this thing, the SX14. It's my first VAIO, and it's weird as heck, but I also love it a lot. Today I'll tell you why. Stay tuned. All right, before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about the VAIO brand. It's super interesting. It's not Sony VAIO anymore. Sony sold off their main share of the company in 2014. They still actually own a little bit of the company, but it's a minority stake. And VAIO sells laptops in the United States, Japan, and Brazil. In fact, they're always manufactured in Japan too, which is one of the reasons why it drives up the price a little bit. But in exchange for that, you can get a really high quality machine that's also very sturdy, more so than the quality of the materials would lead you to believe. It's also similar to buying a Nikon camera that's made in Japan. It just has that really extra finesse to it. Now, I've never actually owned or used a VAIO laptop, so this is a whole new experience for me, and I'm actually kind of impressed by it. All right, looking at the exterior here of the VAIO SX14, and it's pretty stunning. Now, this is a new color for this year. It's brown, but it's a little bit more than brown. I would say it's closer to a brown burgundy. Looks really, really handsome though. It's not an aggressive color. Now this also comes in red, which I do consider super aggressive. It's very, very red. It also costs an extra $100, but I like this brown one a lot. Also has this nice kind of gold trim. It's just very classy, elegant, and a little bit muted too. But none of this suits your fancy. That's okay. You can get it in jet black version as well, or a traditional silver gray. So you have a lot of options. All right, let's give a tour here of all the ports, of which there are plenty. So on the left-hand side here, you do get a headphone jack, 2 USB Type A, and a Kensington lock. Plus, yes, you get a barrel charger. Now, you also get a little LED to let you know it's charging. You don't have to use the barrel charger if you don't want to though, but it's a pretty small charger with its own USB-A port as well. So it's kind of nice, and you get the ventilation here for the single fan as well. But looking at the right-hand side, and it's a dream for I/O. Look at all this stuff. This is absolutely insane on a 14-inch laptop. You're talking a full SD card reader. How many of us have wanted one of those, let alone a 14-inch laptop? That's insane. You also get a USB Type A, USB Type C, so it's 3.1, so we'll do display out, charging, and data. It is not Thunderbolt 3, however, but that's because we have all this other stuff yet. That's where those PCI lanes go. They can't do it with Thunderbolt 3 there. You do have HDMI as well. Look at this, a full Ethernet jack, and VGA. How weird is that? But if you work in an office or a lot of conference rooms, you know VGA is super common for overhead projectors. It's just everywhere still, so that's why it's here. If you're a consumer, this makes no sense. If you're in business, it definitely does. All right, looking at the bottom of the laptop, and well, it's kind of clean. You do get a ton of screws here. So if you remove all those, does this bottom come off? No, the keyboard deck comes off and reveals the inside. It's kind of a pain to get to. I don't think many people are gonna open it up, but you technically can. You can upgrade the SSD if you wanted to. You can also add an LTE modem if you want to. Apparently in Japan, they sell it with LTE, but not in the US. That's a bit of a bummer, but I think you can add one afterwards if you were really wanting to. Now on the bottom lip here towards the front, you also do get 2 stereo speakers. They're okay sounding, not the best. It's gonna be a weak spot on this laptop. It's definitely gonna be the audio, but if they work in a pinch, it's all right. Then one of the neat things about this laptop that VAIO has been doing for a while, and also Asus does this too. So it does this ergo lift kind of thing, and I don't think they call it that, but basically when you open up the laptop, it's going to lift it up and give you a nice angle. I love this design. It's kind of a combo between a Surface Pro with a laptop. And there's a lot of benefits to this, including you get now an angle for typing at, which is good for your palms. It's also good because it lifts the screen off and allows more cooling of the underside of the laptop. You also don't get a bottom chin anymore because it's being obstructed here by the laptop. So this actually solves a lot of problems. I really like it. I know some people have an issue with it, but overall, I think it's a pretty clever design. All right, opening it up, and you can see here a pretty nice design. So a lot's changed here. This used to be a 13.3-inch laptop. It is now 14-inch from edge to edge, 16:9 aspect ratio. And you can see they did that by making these bezels really thin. If you've seen previous VAIOs, they generally have thick bezels all around. And well, this year they actually look, I'm gonna say, handsome. Now you may notice a thicker bezel here at the top. You do get a full webcam and microphones. But one of the reasons, as I mentioned in previous videos with HP, that this is kind of thick is they put the Wi-Fi antenna and Bluetooth antennas up here at the top, and you can't have it behind the display. And the reason they do that is obviously the higher the antenna is, the better the reception. A lot of manufacturers will go for super thin bezels, but then the antennas go into the base of the laptop, and well, you compromise on radio frequencies there. So this is a really good design. I think it works well. Now looking at the display itself, this is a 4K panel. You can get it in full HD, but man, it looks stunning in 4K. Do you need 4K in a 14-inch laptop? I don't know, but it looks really nice. It's also matte. And that's a weird thing to see, a 4K matte display. But again, this is more oriented towards business users. I think it looks really nice. 99% sRGB for color accuracy and 79% Adobe for accuracy as well. So this is a very good display. It also hits around 500 nits of brightness. Again, 300 nits is the sweet spot for laptops. That's right where it's acceptable. 400 nits is nice. 500 nits is you can use this outside. It's a really, really great display. Looking at the keyboard deck here, you do get the power button. Look at that, it's an actual button, I swear to God. It's an LED as well, but that is the power button to turn it on. It glows green, which contrasts kind of oddly with this color choice, but I also kind of like it a lot. So kind of a neat design. And look at this keyboard, chiclet style, not a lot of travel, probably about 1.1 millimeter. It is backlit. These are small keys. I was a little bit worried about this. For some reason, a lot of the Japanese manufacturers use smaller keys. LG in Korea does this too. I actually really like this keyboard though. I got used to it pretty quickly and it's very quiet, it's very smooth. I just enjoy typing on it. You do get small arrow keys here and everything is a little tiny, but it's actually very nice for typing on. You also get a tiny fingerprint reader here, which works mostly pretty well. Occasionally it's a little bit slower or gets false hits, but it's not too bad. I would prefer facial recognition, but it is what it is. Now, continuing the theme of tiny things, look at this tiny trackpad. It's so small. Why didn't they make it much bigger? I have no idea, but it's a very small trackpad with physical buttons here, so the trackpad itself does not click. Now, it is using precision drivers, and besides the fact that it's actually really tiny to use, I actually didn't have any issue using it. I would have preferred larger, but it didn't at all make me frustrated, unlike, say, using an HP Spectre laptop. All right, let's get to the nitty-gritty of power and performance here. So this is running a Core i7-8565U, that's Whiskey Lake. You can also get a Core i5. You get this with a full HD or 4K display, 8 or 16 gigs of RAM, up to a terabyte SSD. We're running a Western Digital, which again, I'm seeing a lot of these Western Digital cards lately. They're very good. You're talking around $3,500 for read and about $2,500 for write. So it's a very good SSD on there as well. And when it comes to the actual performance of that Core i7, it does pretty well, but it doesn't perform quite as well as the HP Spectre X360 13-inch or even anything from Huawei, the MateBook 13 or the X Pro. It's because those laptops are a little bit bigger, they have more thermal room, and I think those chips are clocked higher with a TDP that allows that chip to run at a higher clock speed. Now, one of the benefits of this laptop is what's called VAIO True Performance. So although this doesn't peak as high as some other Core i7 processors, it's able to maintain that speed for longer durations. That is, it's not going to basically throttle down. So you can actually use this for more things like video creation and everything. Now, you don't want to go crazy with it, but it won't throttle down. That's kind of the big deal. In terms of fan, you're talking about a single fan with a copper heat sink in here, and it actually works pretty well. And there are nice settings on this. So VAIO gives you the option to clock that fan down if you want to be in a silent room, or you can even tie it to the AC power. So if you're plugged in, you can set it to max performance. That fan's going to run basically all the time, or you can put it on silent mode when on battery. So it gives you that option. The fan is okay. It does make a whooshing noise. It's a little bit of a high-pitched noise as well. So it's not quite annoying, but it's also not the most quiet I've heard. The Huawei MateBook X Pro does a much better job here, same with HP. Now, some weird things about this laptop, well, it's only got a 38 watt-hour battery, which is not a lot, but that's also because it weighs 2.2 pounds or 1 kilogram. So you get about 5 to 6 hours of battery life, which isn't terrible for a Core i7 with a 4K display, but it's also definitely not the best out there in the market. But I feel like the trade-off there is kind of worth it. You're getting a super light 14-inch laptop here with a 4K display, so I think that actually falls right in line. I would have preferred a larger battery, of course, but that's what you get. Now, speaking of design here, this uses unidirectional carbon fiber and all sorts of new technology. So this is a big theme that a lot of laptop manufacturers are using, new material science, basically. And what that means is this is a really rugged laptop. In fact, here are some video clips of VAIO testing theirs. And I have to caution you, this is pretty aggressive stuff here, folks. The things they do to this laptop to make sure it doesn't break is kind of insane. And this is where I think Japanese manufacturers take things to the next level to ensure durability. All right, let's bring it all in. So the VAIO SX14, I really like this laptop a lot. There are compromises, don't get me wrong, but it's so kind of weird and different from everything else on the market. I think it's really worth checking out, especially if you're into business and productivity. First of all, it's super light and compact. I really love carrying this thing around. It's just really nice. The build quality is also exceptional. Then when you look at what I call the fundamentals, display, excellent. Keyboard, very good surprisingly. The trackpad, okay, trackpad is super small, but I had no problems using it, and that's really a nice trade-off. Performance is also very good, and the fan, when in silent mode, is very quiet for obvious reasons. I also just really like the feel of this device and the looks too. I think this brown color is actually pretty stunning. But of course, not all is perfect. So if you need something with really long battery life, this is not going to be your choice. Now, 5 to 6 hours is pretty much okay. If you use the barrel charger with it, well, you can recharge the battery to 80% in an hour. So that's not crazy bad, but a lot of laptops are doing that these days. Another weakness is going to be those speakers. I think VAIO could definitely do a better job here. These aren't the worst I've heard, but they're definitely not the best either. If you really want to use these for speakers, well, you may want to look somewhere else. Otherwise, headphones will get the job done. I was talking about pricing and who this is for. So this starts at $12.99, which is not cheap at all. That's for the Core i5 Full HD, 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage. So that's definitely on the high end for a laptop of this class. And it goes up to, well, $2,200 for the one we have here with 1 terabyte, 16 gigs and a Core i7 plus a 4K display. And if you want that red, it's an extra $100 at $2,300. So it's definitely an expensive laptop, but I think it's kind of worth it for some people. It's extremely durable, it's extremely light. It's very good for business users who need all those ports and availability. So if you're in the market for a really good 14-inch laptop that meets all these requirements and has these features in all those ports, I think the SX14 is actually a pretty solid choice. It's one of the most fun laptops I've had to review recently, and it actually says something in my opinion. Like I said, it's going to be available in the United States, Brazil, and Japan, so you should check your markets for that. And if you want more information about this laptop, make sure you go to the description below. We'll also have more information about it on windowscentral.com. If you want, leave me a comment. Tell me what you think and how you think they can improve it besides the price. Otherwise, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Take care, everyone. All right, before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about the VAIO brand. I don't know, should I be looking at the lens? I always get confused here. Does it look better when I look at the Sony?
Yeah, you look at the Sony.
That's what I've been doing, but I feel like it doesn't look like I'm looking off camera because it's kind of close.